If you've just joined us, welcome to it. 23 after 11 p.m. Central African time. This is African Diaries. Shayla Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm not alone in studio. So we have been talking all things GBV. And today we had an opportunity to gauge tools, to gauge systems of belief, perhaps for some, to gauge the realities of habits that one can form and use in order to escape the chain and the shackles and the cage that you would find yourself mentally due to experiences of GBV. Joining me in studio is none other than Nolo Pebetsi, who is a psychology graduate. She's also a conqueror, I'd like to call you, of GBV, and she is here to share her story with us. I do have questions that sort of allude to what Lindiwe said. Nolo, firstly, thank you so much, and I can't say welcome to African Diaries. That's just weird. Okay, thank you for coming on to.
I still like it.
Would you still like? Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So Nolo, it was a very interesting conversation that we had with Lindiwe Kunene, who said quite a few things that got me stirred up, right? I want to start off with the power that the offender or the perpetrator has on the victim. A lot of messages on social media will say, if you're being abused, why don't you get out?
Yeah.
If you saw the red flags, why did you stay? So I want to gauge you both on a professional level, of course, and on a personal capacity, right? I want to gauge your experiences, but also what you've learned in psychology. Why do we stay? Is it Stockholm Syndrome? What is it?
Ooh. There's so many reasons why we stay, and everybody, I believe, has a different reason, I've noticed that, I'm going to speak from a different generation. Let me start there because Mam Lindiwe and I are from different generations. Our struggles may be the same, but we react differently, right? Maybe in her generation, to leave was sort of a disgrace to the family members. Marriage was an honor, to both sides of the family. So you leaving means you ending the marriage. And so it's a disgrace, it's an embarrassment. And I guess in my generation, I'd say the few reasons, if I can name those few, is, the financial instability. Your lifestyle definitely changes. As much as they say, oh no, can take the individual to court, there will be child maintenance, spousal maintenance that wasn't available back in the day, by the way. So, but that's a court process that takes time. In between that, your life is going to change drastically. Your life is going to be inconvenienced. Your children's lives are going to be inconvenienced. They're going to be destabilized. Maybe your children are used to living a specific life, going to specific schools, living in a specific neighborhood. And now once the two parents part ways, things are definitely going to be different. So you feel like you'd be selfish by leaving. And you're not thinking about the consequences or the impact on the children. Another main reason for leaving is, the so-called syndrome, like what we call, what will people say syndrome. You're afraid of what people will say, what your peers will say. Oh, she failed at marriage again, and you're afraid of... in my case, as a public figure, I was afraid of, oh my goodness, what are they going to say? I'm leaving a marriage only after 9 months. So you try to stick it through.
Yeah.
And make it work.
Interestingly enough, Don Castro says here that Batho ba tlo reng syndrome is something that we see our society face. Nolo, I want to get deeper into your conversation, into your story, if you'll allow me to.
Yeah.
You spoke of 9 months. You spoke of being a public figure, right? And the individual that you married to was also in the public eye, but behind the scenes, right? To an extent, all of that guilt sort of draws from what will people say. This person is also in the public eye, so if they say something about me, they might tarnish and ruin my name. The kids are no longer safe. I'm not protecting the kids by making the selfish decision. That entraps you into some kind of victim mentality.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Where was your headspace? How trapped were you?
So I was a victim that was suffering in silence, right? However, I did try to reach out to family.
Yeah.
It's just that, family, as usual, they'll try to mediate. They will try to bring some sort of understanding. They'll try to bring peace, right? But then in terms of the public knowing what I'm going through, yes, I was certainly trapped under a victim mentality. No doubt about that. However, I would say my victim mentality was somewhat self-inflicted. I placed myself in that situation. I just did not want the world to know how I'm suffering.
Yeah.
And I had some sort of guilt because this was not the first time I was within an abusive relationship. So the question I kept on asking myself under that victim mentality was, one, you grew up in an abusive household. How do you end up here? Twice even, Are you somewhat attracting abusive men? Are you an abusive man magnet? Well, why do you keep ending up here, Nolo? So I was beating myself up quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to take that stance for a moment, and let's just say Shayla was the one who found herself in that state, right? I'm the one who has been married twice, found myself in an abusive relationship, and the like. Would you have that same kind of blame game on me? Would you pin me down to, Shayla, why are you doing this? Why do you keep on going back?
If I knew your history?
Yes. If you knew, your story becomes Shayla's story.
Okay, so I'm an outside.
And you're
an
a friend.
Outsider. Oh, a friend.
Yes. Would you have the same level of and I want to say lack of grace, but I don't want to trigger certain things. I want you to come out of the shell for yourself. Would you speak to me the way you speak to yourself?
Yes.
You would. You'd say, why do I attract?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me why.
And the reason I'm saying that is because that's exactly how I had placed myself in that self-victim mentality and beating myself up, because in my mind, that's what people would think if I told them my challenges. Because for a while, nobody knew.
Yeah.
I hid it quite well. If there was a bruise, as usual, we put makeup on it. It's just that I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, but during that time of experiencing the constant abuse, I was pregnant, so I hardly left the house. If I did, it was in the middle of the night, running away to go sleep at a neighbor's or at a family friend's house.
Yeah.
So, well, I wouldn't say family friend, I'd actually say family, because I deliberately avoided reaching out to friends because I was afraid of exactly that kind of questioning. Like, how do you always end up here?
I'm just curious on whether you'd be that friend who asks those questions.
No.
And the reason why I'm asking this is because we often are so difficult on ourselves.
Absolutely.
We pin ourselves to walls that are unnecessary, right? And the reality here is that victim mentality comes from that pinning.
Yes.
It comes from that sword onto the jugular.
Yeah.
And I want us to strip away from that for a second. So with that being said, if you're saying that you wouldn't be that friend to yourself, in hindsight, in retrospect, you are Nolo now. You have conquered this space. You have gone through the motions. You've gone through the pain, the bitterness, the sorrow. Looking back at Nolo, what would you say to her?
Ooh, I'm so glad that you're asking me that question, because I've just recently, after I received therapy, I learned that I should speak to myself like I would speak to a best friend.
Yeah.
Hence why when you asked me if you were the friend, would you say that? And no, I wouldn't. Because I've got a feeling if I understand your past, like you mentioned, I should award a little bit of grace, right? But if I were to speak to myself then, and I was the friend, Nolo's friend back then, I guess I'd say, whatever you need me, however you need me to help you, I'm here. Because sometimes you're afraid to ask for help because you don't even know if you'll receive the help, right?
Yeah.
And when we speak about help, we're not necessarily talking about financial help. Sometimes it could be just, dude, can I just come talk to you about this because I'm struggling, but I don't know who to speak to. It's a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that shoulder to cry on, or that vault where I can vent and then lock it, and I'll come back, And I don't necessarily need advice from you on how to get out.
Yeah.
I just need that friend to say, how do you need me to help you? And I knew how I needed someone to help me, but I just didn't have that. I didn't have the shoulder to cry on. I didn't have the friend to reach out to and say, I feel like I'm failing at this marriage thing. I feel like I'm causing this abuse on myself, Yeah.
Nolo, do you think it's possible for you to be your own friend first? And then maybe you would value what friends bring to the picture?
In that situation?
Yes.
No.
Tell me more.
There's no way you can be your own friend first in that situation. Yeah. You must remember, you're being hurt by somebody you love. Okay? You're not being hurt by a boyfriend, or you're not being hurt by a stranger you just met yesterday.
Yeah.
You're hurt by somebody you love. In my case, it's somebody whose child I was currently pregnant with at the time. And I had just married a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he's just switched on me. Characters just switched. And it's so confusing. In the state, it's confusing because the first time it happens, there's that little bit of a shock. And you really need to ask yourself, did that really happen?
Yeah.
Did that really happen? Yeah. And I think it only makes sense the third time it happens. And you're like, wait a minute. I'm actually going through this now, So it's hard to even be your own friend. You're trying to understand this individual, what's happening to you for you to hit me, lay a hand on me, push me down the stairs. I'm carrying your baby on top of that, So I don't even thinking of being your own friend and shoulder to cry on at that. No, there's no way. I spent a lot of nights in the shower crying so that nobody hears I'm crying. So I run the shower, and then when I'm done, I walk out, and life has to continue. I have to make this marriage work.
Sure. With that being said, where did the pressure come from to make the marriage work?
With me, it's a combination of many things.
Yeah.
First of all, I never shy away from letting people know that I got married because I was pregnant. Okay? And it was more like the shame of having a second child out of wedlock. And this individual wants to marry you, the father of the coming child wants to marry you. So if you say no, okay, so is this your plan for life? Are you going to have children with different fathers and not get married?
Yeah.
And why are you even having children with men that you don't see a future with? You know what I mean? And by the way, these are the questions I'm asking myself. Nobody's asking me. Again, victim mentality. I'm victimizing myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how deep this thing can go. And so I found myself just thinking, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
How am I going to find a way to make this work without society being people who see me as a public figure? Because again, the marriage was publicized, so they saw us in matching outfits. Rishapa step down the road,
Yeah. Yeah.
And a few weeks later, announcement of my pregnancy was out, So now, okay, so she's done with the marriage already, and society has this notion, especially on female public figures, when you fail at the relationship, they blame you, the female. They hardly blame the guy. They hardly do. The question is, why does she keep failing at relationship? What is wrong with her? May I remind you again of the saga we had with the podcaster on Podcast and Chill, and how he spoke about Mini Dlamini. They never really target the man. They target the female. Why do you keep failing? Kanti, what's wrong with you? And maybe there is something wrong with me. Yeah. Maybe I do have daddy issues, and that's why my relation to men is so, warped. It's nothing familiar to you. I relate to men differently. Maybe it's because of how I was raised by an abuser. So yes, maybe there is something wrong with me, but have you ever thought that there's also something wrong with the guy?
Yeah.
So I had a whole lot of things that affected me victimizing myself. It's a public, it's the family expectations. Oh no, don't let me get started on the children. The children, okay, the first one. What am I teaching her? You know, she's much older. She's watching all of this.
Yeah.
This is the first time she's seeing her mother with a man in the same household. You know, and she's expecting a younger sibling coming in. There was just so many aspects. Also, another huge aspect is the fact that in the industry that I was working in at the time, which is the acting industry, when you're pregnant, you don't have a job. Okay, so if I end this marriage, where is my bread going to be buttered? Who's buttering my bread? How am I? It goes back to what I was telling you. The lifestyle change. It's going to change. Was I ready for that at the time? I don't know. I wasn't.
The voice of Nolo Pebetsi, who is firstly family of Channel Africa. Secondly, she's a psychology graduate, and more than anything else, she's proving that she's a conqueror of GBV. We are discussing the realities of victim mentality that can rise from the experiences of GBV. Nolo, I want to turn to reclaiming your power. Right? You spoke of instances where you were physically assaulted. Right? This is in your homestead. You spoke of an instance where you pushed down the stairs while pregnant. Right? There is something that allows you to stay in that context, that affords the next person that power. How did you reclaim it back?
I looked at my oldest daughter.
Sure.
On the last straw on a camel's back, the abuser had broken down the bedroom door we had locked ourselves in with his bare hands. And, you know, my daughter was sleeping on the bed. And obviously, when the door broke, she woke up. She's scared what's happening.
Yeah.
And when I turned, after, you know, quarreling with him and everything, and I turned around, I found her shivering and she's scared. Although she said, "Mom, I'm not scared." For me, that switched something in my head, and I'll tell you what switched. What switched was, oh my goodness, Nolo, this is how you grew up, and this is why it's a norm to you. This is a normal household lifestyle to you. This 8-year-old is watching this every day, every weekend. It's going to be a norm in her lifestyle as well, and it shall continue into the next generation and the next generation. If you don't allow it to stop with you, she's going to see this as a norm. It's normal. Every household has abusive episodes. And that's when I took a stand and I said, it has to stop. That's how I reclaimed my power. I didn't even waste time. The very next day, I went to the police station and I went and did a restraining order and a protection order. And I came back with police and I told them to remove him from the house. And that was the last time I saw him.
Was there any part of you that wanted to save him from himself?
Oh, I did. A couple. Oh no, that's when we rewind to 3-4 months before.
Yeah.
I cut the cord. When I was in that victim mentality, when I was under the fear of what will people say, what will the public say about me, I did try to save him. I organized therapy for him because I figured he's got anger issues. We organized rehabilitation for him. We even did couples counseling together. Those were my efforts of trying to fix this relationship. But there was a day when I realized I can't fix this man because while fixing him, it's at the expense of losing myself.
Sure. Lastly, Nolo, I want to talk about healing. Right? So we all talk healing. Hey, heal yourself. Oh, herbs. Oh, this, oh, that. And the reason why I'm being a bit preposterous with it is because I wonder what healing looks like when that was a part of your cycle. Do you find yourself in a kumbaya state where everything is happy-go-lucky? Where you are receiving and receptive to everything? You know? What is healing after GBV, for you at least?
The first thing you must really acknowledge and tell yourself is that it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Sure.
Okay? It's going to get worse before it gets better because once you cut that cord, Your life is going to be inconvenienced in more ways than one. You're going to be stigmatized. You're going to fall in the statistics. You're going to overcompensate towards your children and your parenting because you feel guilty that you cut the other parent out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work twice as hard to maintain the lifestyle you guys used to have. So it's gonna get hard before it gets better. And in my case, it got so hard to a point where I didn't have a home for my kids and I. For a while, I did not have a home. And this is not something that happened in a space of 3 months. No, it's a gradual decline. However, the first thing I did for myself personally was the first step of healing that I took was mental health. That's the first place I went because I remember how I was so depressed. During the day, I could not smile, and I'm raising an infant on my own. This child can feel my sadness and my depression. Sure. I couldn't even breastfeed because I did not have any milk coming out of my breast, So, and then I could not sleep at night because I thought I wouldn't wake up. I was afraid of sleeping. I thought I would die in my sleep and not come back. So I had insane anxiety. So this is me at the time. I'm taking medication to heal the C-section, right? I'm taking antidepressants during the day. I'm taking anxiety meds at night to calm down. And I'm taking sleeping meds to still put me to bed. Because if I don't sleep, I won't be able to take care of the child. The child wakes up at various times. I'm taking a cocktail of about 10 pills a day at this point. That is obviously not healthy. And this is in the first 2 months of the child being born. Remember, the dad left way before the child was born, right? And so I remember saying, Nolo, how are you going to keep going? So you're going to need a pill to smile with your kids. You're going to need a pill to be relaxed. You're going to need a pill to take away any pain. That's going to be your life. I can't be raising kids that way, And I remember I said, I'm going to drop it all and I'm just going to seek psychological help because there's obviously something wrong with me. I don't even need somebody to tell me. Anxiety attacks, sleepless nights, you name it. And so that's the first thing. You have to seek the healing. Don't allow people to say to you, oh, you're not the first woman to go through this. You'll get over it. No. If you don't find the necessary healing, you will develop anger issues as well towards men. And guess what that anger issue does? It also trickles down to the girls or the children you're raising. Now, they're going to look at men different. I had to make sure that my perspective towards men is not dented by what my experiences with men has been, so that my kids can have a different perspective as well. So I needed to deal with anger. I needed to deal with self-doubt, self-hate. I needed to forgive myself. I needed to deal with the shame and the guilt. I needed to find my confidence again. When I walk in public, walk with my head held up high and know that, I'm not, what happened to me is not really part of my identity. It's okay. I can move past that. I can find a way to develop myself to a point where that will just be an aspect of my past and not necessarily part of my identity. But I think the most important place to start is your mind and then go to your heart. And for me, my heart was, I found solace and refuge in my spirituality, my walk with Christ. And that's where I healed my heart. And when I healed my mind, I really did some extensive therapy.
Yeah. And Nolo, just a follow-up, we spoke quite a great deal on the public and what they would think. What was your family saying?
Sheila.
Yeah.
I can't say much about them.
That is fair.
I don't want to paint them in a weird light, but
that's fair.
Like I said, I could not really... I did reach out to them. But they always try to mediate. I think if you can piece together the things I've said, is that it was a norm in my childhood. So they expected me to also handle it. And I couldn't. And so for the longest of time, I didn't have the family support when starting all over again because we told you to stay. Look at how your life is turning out now, Yeah. So I had to find my way. And to be honest, my kids are my fuel now. I look at them, I'm like, I gotta make it. I have to make it for them. you know? So that they know that they can also let it go and start again if you have to. It's not nice to start all over, but you must remember your why. Your why is very important, and your why can't be shallow.
Sure. Nolo, the purpose of this conversation is to draw people to the realities that you can overcome a victim mentality. You know, it's not a badge of honor. In actual fact, it's something that we need to part ways with, right? And so, with that being said, as your parting shot to somebody who feels like the world has done me wrong, I did not deserve it.
Yeah.
I was walking home and he grabbed me and misused my body. He caged me. He imprisoned me, not just physically, but mentally. What would you say to that person?
So simple, but so powerful. The first step to taking your power back and removing the victim mentality is to own your story, babe. Own your story, tell your story. Don't tell it with expectations of any help. Don't tell it with any expectations of sympathy or empathy. Tell it to own it. The ownership of your story gives you some sort of power that I can't explain, you know? Because if somebody comes to you and say, oh, I heard this and this about you. Yes, that's true. That's my life. Yeah, I lived it. But I'm here now to tell the story. So own it.
Yeah.
Own it. We've got social media nowadays. Own it in the best way that you can.
Sure. Listen, 49 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time, the voice of my superstar producer. She is
to get back to work.
Who's a member of Channel Africa, of course. Her name is Nolo Pebetsi. She is an actress. She is a psychology graduate. She is quite the guru in the media space, but she's also a conqueror of GBV. And she has shared her story with us in bits and pieces with the understanding that you can overcome the idea, the extremity, the experience of victim mentality. For now, let's take a quick breather. When we get back, we touch base with Morris.
From Cape to Cairo, every beat tells a story.